What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Welcome back to the Draft Hub. Today, we are going to take a look at 10 college football playoff sleeper teams that I think could make some real noise in the 2025-26 season. Before we get into it, I just want to wish everyone a happy 4th of July weekend. You are watching this on July 5th or past July 5th, so I just want to make sure everyone has a safe, happy, and healthy holiday weekend for America's 249th birthday. But I'm super excited about this video. I'm taking a slight break away from the conference prediction videos because I wanted to get this one out. I was super excited about this idea when I thought about it. I was actually making my Conference USA prediction video while I thought about this. I figured this would be an appropriate weekend to get this video out. But without further delay, let's get into these 10 teams that I think could potentially make the college football playoffs. So before I go into the explanations, just so you guys know, this is in no particular order. There isn't a ranking. It's just 10 teams from top to bottom. So I already see that I made a mistake on this graphic. You have the Oklahoma Sooners here, with their biggest addition being quarterback John Mateer from Washington State. The X factor is supposed to be running back Jaden Ott, who transferred from California. I don't know what happened to his last name, but we're just going to go with running back Jaden. Yeah, I think these two guys make a huge difference for this team. On the defensive side, you have leaders like R. Mason Thomas, who is going to be a top prospect in the 2026 NFL draft. The defensive side, they're going to be super solid. Offensively, after losing Jackson Arnold, it was going to be interesting to see where they went. They landed one of, if not the biggest quarterback transfers in the transfer portal in John Mateer. I think he's going to not only turn himself into a prime top 5 Heisman candidate, he's going to turn the Oklahoma Sooners into a team that could potentially challenge for the college football playoffs. Now, I don't think that they're going to win the SEC or something like that, but I do think they will have a chance to get one of those spots from 6 to 12. So I actually don't remember if it's this year that the college football playoff expands or not, but even so, that is an even better reason for these teams to potentially make it. I do like the idea. I don't know, a lot of people weren't too excited about expanding the playoffs past 12 teams, but I think it's awesome. We're already seeing a couple of repeat matchups, even with a 12-team format. I think it's going to be really exciting to expand it to. I think it's supposed to expand to potentially 16 teams. I don't know. I feel like every time I read something different about college football, it's 14, 16, 18. You might as well just add 32 at this point. But yeah, I think the Oklahoma Sooners have a real chance to make the college football playoffs, and I think it's almost a lot, especially with the schedule that they have. I feel like if they can squeeze 9 wins out of that schedule, it's almost going to be a lock that they could make the college football playoffs. Next, I have the Duke Blue Devils. And if you don't know, the Duke Blue Devils have the easiest win total over any bet that you could put on in college football. I think their over-under win total is like 5.5. This team is awesome. Adding Darian Mensah from Tulane was a huge get for them, especially after having Malik Murphy play quarterback last year, who really didn't play that well. That he still guided them to an 8-4 record. Chandler Rivers is one of my favorite corners in the entire draft class coming up. I think this man is electric. I think that he is this year's Jahdae Barron. I've said it in my cornerback videos before. I think he is a top 5 corner in college football this year. But adding Mensah to this offense is just such a huge get for this team. The ACC, I don't think, is as challenging as it looks on paper. I think that the Duke Blue Devils are going to be a team that could potentially sneak into the ACC championship game against a team like Clemson. I know that might sound crazy, but I mean, this team from top to bottom is super talented. They didn't lose a lot in the transfer portal. I think this team is really exciting, and adding someone like Mensah, who potentially, after a really solid year at Tulane, could improve his draft stock and even be a top 50 prospect when it's all said and done. This team has talent laden from top to bottom on the offensive and defensive side. I think they're going to make a lot of noise this year. And the team that quite possibly had the best transfer portal of all is the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Adding Quentin Joyner is just such, especially after losing Taj Brooks in the NFL draft in 2025, adding someone like Quentin Joyner is so big for them because Taj Brooks was just a monumental part of their entire offense. Baron Morton is going to be fully healthy this year. in a year plus removed from that shoulder surgery on his throwing arm. He had a fantastic year last year, over 3,700 passing yards, 27 touchdowns. I think he's going to be awesome in this offense again. This is a team that really could challenge for the Big 12 title. I honestly mean that. I think this team, again, you want to talk about the Duke Blue Devils. This team has talent up and down, and it's just a matter if they continue to develop in the way that they have the last couple of years. They're building something really special in Laredo, Texas, and I think the Texas Tech are a team, especially in a conference that is open and has been kind of wide open for the last couple of years. I think the Red Raiders are going to make some. Is I think if you get to that 10 win total in Big 12 play, I think you will 100% make the college football playoffs. The San Jose State Spartans are a team that I think, even out of the Mountain West, could make some real noise, could even challenge for the Mountain West title. I think there are far and away, there are three really good teams in the Mountain West, and then kind of everyone else. That's going to be Boise State. That's going to be UNLV, who we will get to later. And then that's going to be the San Jose State Spartans. Now, the Spartans last year were just oozing talent, and they lost quite a bit through the draft. You think Nick Nash right away, their dynamic wide receiver one, is gone. He is on the Atlanta Falcons now. They brought in Leland Smith, who I think could make some real noise. Hasn't really gone crazy in his career at this point, a transfer from Purdue, but 6'4", 205 pounds, a ton of speed. Jordan Pollard is going to be the X factor. It's tough after losing DJ Harvey through the transfer portal to USC. It's going to be tough to replicate that secondary production, but I think Jordan Pollard is the anchor of this defense. I think this defense is going to be just as good as they were last year. They brought in a ton of transfers on the offensive line, defensive line, secondary. This team, very quietly, I feel like has been a NFL pipeline in a way the last few years. We've seen a ton of guys get drafted or show up on NFL rosters from San Jose State, and I think they're still building something special. I think the Mountain West has been, if you want a more in-depth analysis on the San Jose State Spartans and the Mountain West, just take a look at my Mountain West Conference prediction video that came out last week. But the Spartans are a super underrated team. They're very, very well coached. They're very well disciplined. They have some superstars on the offense and the defensive side. Floyd Chalk IV is going to be a huge part of this offense this year, and I'm excited to see what the Spartans can do in a wide open Mountain West. The Baylor Bears, you want to talk about another Big 12 team, are a super sleeper for me. Their biggest ad was Kobe Prentice from Alabama. I think he's going to make some real noise in this offense. Sawyer Robertson quite possibly could be quarterback one in the 2026 draft class when it's all said and done. He had a phenomenal full first year as the quarterback for the Baylor Bears. 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 250 rushing yards, over 3,000 passing yards. Really displayed every kind of intangible and attribute that you want from a franchise type quarterback. So this is a little bit tough. Their schedule is difficult. So that's why I have them at a win total around 8 or 9. But I think if they do hit that 9 win total and lose to teams like a TCU, like an SMU, or a Utah, I think that they will be able to get into the college football playoffs, or maybe even the Big 12 championship game. The Utah Utes are a very well-coached team as well. They have some unbelievable talent on the offense. They added Devin Dampier from New Mexico, so that's going to be an interesting team to watch as well. But I think the Bears, up and down, especially on the offensive side, adding Kobe Prentice to a team that already has Bryson Washington as a top running back in the class, I think this team is going to make a lot of noise on the offensive side. As long as they can hold their own on the defensive side like they've had the last couple of years, I think the Bears are going to be in really good shape to make the playoffs. And we spoke about this before. It is the UNLV Rebels, and I said the Texas Tech Red Raiders were a team that quite possibly won the transfer portal. The UNLV Rebels are a team that really did well in the transfer portal. Denver Harris from the University of Texas San Antonio, I think, was a huge add for this team. And my X factor is going to be Dan Mullen, because this team won 9 games last year, and they added a ton of talent through the transfer portal. They have an entire new offensive line. Most of their defense, I think they're only bringing back 3 starters from last year. It sucks on the offensive side losing a wide receiver like Ricky White III to the free agent to the NFL draft. I get it, but They have a ton of talent on this offensive side. Adding Alex Orji to this offense, I think it's going to take them to the next step. It depends on how Dan Mullen can squeeze the rest of the talent out of this roster and get them to that 10 or potentially 11 win plateau and get them to the Mountain West Championship game, where if they win, they could be that first group of 5 team in the college football playoffs, be that 5 seed or potentially be that 6 seed. So the Rebels are a team that I think have massive expectations on their shoulders. I think adding someone like Dan Mullen, who has that experience at big programs, is going to be so big for them. It just depends on how he could develop the rest of that talent out of that offense. Quite possibly one of my favorite teams in college football over the last 5+ years is going to be the Illinois Fighting Illini. Brett Bielema really knows how to squeeze the talent out of his roster because the Fighting Illini aren't a elite recruitment factory. They just know how to develop talent. Bielema has done a fantastic job in his tenure at Illinois, led them to their first 10+ win season since 2001 last year, led them to their first ranked finish since 2001 last year. A fantastic overall team that you want to talk about a pipeline to the NFL, especially on the defensive side. The Fighting Illini have had some amazing players come through their program the last few years, especially in that secondary side. Right away you think of guys like Devin Witherspoon, Sidney Brown, Quan Martin. Obviously I'm missing a couple on the defensive line, Jerzon Newton, guys like that all over the defense. On the offensive side as well, you have Pat Bryant, Zachariah Franklin. There's just a ton of offensive players. And their biggest add was Hudson Clement from West Virginia. Had almost 800 receiving yards last year, 7 touchdowns. That's a massive replacement to have in a Pat Bryant who had 940 receiving yards and 10 touchdowns last year. But Hudson Clement is a fantastic replacement. Xavier Scott plays all over the defensive secondary for Brett Bielema. Luke Altmaier is going to have to take another massive step forward. He is a player that really interests me, that if he has another super solid season, could potentially find himself in that late day 2, early day 3 category in the NFL draft. He is not a bells and whistles type of guy. He's just someone that goes out there. He's a really, really good game manager. He can make every single throw that you're asking him to make. He's on time. He's careful with the football. I think that he is going to step up in a big way this year. I believe he had 25 touchdowns, 7 or 8 interceptions last year. I could see him hitting that 30 touchdown plateau and really leading this team, because the Big Ten isn't as big, bad, and scary as it usually is this year. It seems kind of wide open outside of the top teams. So the Fighting Illini are a team that I think are so well coached, so well developed, and they're going to be able to make some real noise this year, hopefully. It's crazy to say that a team that plays in the SEC that went 5-7 last year potentially can make the college football playoffs. But the Auburn Tigers were the biggest winners of any team, in my opinion, through the transfer portal. They added Eric Singleton Jr. from Georgia Tech to form one of the most dynamic wide receiver rooms, not only in the SEC, in college football. Keldrick Falk is a consensus top 10 overall talent in the 2026 NFL draft early on. This team they added Jackson Arnold from Oklahoma as well. This is just a team that over the last few years has dealt with quite a bit of quarterback turnover. You think Peyton Thorne really wasn't that guy. I think Jackson Arnold could develop into what the Auburn Tigers are looking for that dynamic quarterback. On the defensive side, I think Falk will lead them. This unit is pretty solid. Offensively, there's talent up and down for Jackson Arnold to work with. I think the Auburn Tigers are going to be back. I think at the very base, they're going to win 7 or 8 games and not make the college football playoffs. But I could easily see them winning 10 games as well, especially with their schedule. It's a little bit on the lighter side for the most part. Not an SEC play, but the non-conference schedule is pretty easy. So that gives you 3 or 4 wins right off the bat. But the Auburn Tigers, I think, are going to be back, and they're going to make a lot of noise this year. Maybe a little bit of a stretch to say that they could potentially make the playoffs this year. Maybe I'll say that, but I think that they're an easy 7 or 8 win team at baseline. And then speaking of the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, I think this team could make some real nice. 7-5 last year. They did lose Eric Singleton Jr. to Auburn, like we just mentioned, but they added Eric Rivers. So really, you want to talk about losing a massive player, but then gaining a massive player. That's exactly what the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets did. I think Jamal Haynes is awesome. I think he's going for his fourth straight 1,000-yard season very quietly. He's a dynamic running back. You have Haynes King as well coming back for his third season under center for the Yellow Jackets. I think this team is just really solid offensively, defensively as well. I think that they are very sound. And again, in this ACC where I don't think it's a super competitive conference this year, I think Georgia Tech could easily get into or at least close to the ACC championship game with 9 wins. I could even see them winning 10, but their schedule is a little bit on the tougher side, and this team does lack a little bit of defensive talent. I think they're very well coached. I think that they're very sound defensively, but I think just top level defensive talent, it's just not really there for them. But the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets are a team that have so much talent on the offensive side, and Haynes King is super talented. I think that they are going to be able to make quite a bit of noise in the ACC. And then finally, you have the South Carolina Gamecocks, because why not? This team has an unbelievable amount of talent. They lost a ton of talent as well. You know, you think of right away off the top of your head, Enders away. They lost, on the side as well. They lost a lot of talent, but they just have some. Dylan Stewart is just, like Nick Harbor is one of the craziest athletes I've ever seen. Brendan Cisse was a really nice get from the North Carolina Wolfpack through the transfer portal. This team, Lenora Sellers, as long as Lenora Sellers can take that next step forward and shine through even more than he did last year, I think you're looking at a team that not only is going to make the college football playoffs, but could be in the SEC championship game. Yeah, I'm going to hang my hat on that, saying that as long as the South Carolina Gamecocks continue to develop, they have more than enough talent. They have so much talent. They lost so much talent on the defensive side, and they're still one of the most talented groups in the SEC on the defensive side. Offensively, like I mentioned, Nick Harbor is a freak. Lenora Sellers is, everything that you could look for potentially in a franchise quarterback. I think the South Carolina Gamecocks, who just kind of sort of barely missed out on making the playoffs last year, I think they come back with a vengeance, with a chip on their shoulder. Lenora Sellers takes the next step forward, and this team is going to be a force to be reckoned with come playoff time. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. There are 10 teams that I think could be sleepers to make the college football playoffs in the 2025-26 season. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. Let me know if there's a team that you think can make the college football playoffs that I missed or I didn't put into this list, because I do have some honorable mentions that I would like to discuss in the comments section if someone does bring it up. But thank you guys so much for watching today. Again, I hope you have a wonderful July 4th weekend. Stay safe. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Please leave a like. Thank you guys so much for watching today, and I will see you in the next one.